Oh, good. Worked this time. Okay. Hey, everybody. If you were just trying to catch me live, like if you got a notification that I was going live, I don't know if it did or if it didn't, but it didn't connect. So sorry. So I had to start again. I do apologize again this week for being off schedule. I am going to be back on my regular routine next week. So you can look forward to getting a regular post from me pre-recorded. This is obviously live for those of you that are watching it on the replay. I will be posting a new video, getting back into my regular filming schedule next week. Not that this isn't new, but it's fly by the seat of my pants because I want to get you guys a video and I haven't had time to record. And of course, as soon as I start talking, I get a tickle in my throat. I may have to get up and get something to drink. We'll see. So today I'm Mel. For those, let me do my quick introduction. I'm Mel from Mel's Divination, for those of you who don't know me, who are new. And I create video content, witchcraft content, spiritual content, metaphysical content for your viewing pleasure. I sometimes will share unpopular opinions and share my point of view on things that are a little off on its own. It doesn't align with everybody. And I like to share how I think and feel about things to help those of you that are out there. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about a book. I'm going to share two books with you, actually, because one of them is not going to be super in-depth. And we're going to talk a tiny bit about books and just kind of what's coming up for the channel. The channel is going to be much more consistent as far as videos. I have a huge list of videos that you guys have recommended over time that I've been like writing down, and ideas that I've had. I do want to talk a little bit about fear mongering. So this video is going to be a little all over the place, but that's okay. Fear mongering that I've been noticing throughout readers over the past couple of months, and it's not sitting well with me. I have many clients that have come to me and have been like, my astrologer told me that somebody cast black magic on the person that I care about. Or I did a reading and I watched a general reading and the person is saying that there's been black magic done on me or evil eye magic done on me and I need to have that removed. Let me just say, as a reader, a person that says something like that to you is trying to do one of two things. They're trying to scare you so that you buy whatever their products are, more readings, more spiritual work, whatever. Like, you have to come to me or you aren't going to be successful. Or they use it as an excuse for why their predictions have not come to pass. Now, the thing is, black magic, evil eye magic should not be something that is thrown around loosely to try to control people. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to create such a thing, and it's not as common as everybody believes it to be. So, or as many people believe it to be, as far as like, oh, well, my person of interest had a spell cast on them, so now they don't come to me. We'll talk about love spells another time, but my personal point of view and perspective and experience has been love spells don't work if the person is not already interested in the individual. So if I did a spell on, I don't know, let's call the guy Shane. If I did a spell on Shane and to want me, and Shane didn't care about me at all. Maybe Shane's even gay and likes men. All it's going to do is make Shane think of Mel. It's not going to make Shane come to me. It's not going to make Shane, it's not going to pull Shane out of his free will, because it can't shift the dynamic so strongly that the person doesn't ever come to you if they don't want you. You can't make people fall in love with you if they don't have any feelings for you. It doesn't work that way, at least in my personal experience. We'll talk about twin flames another time. I've briefly mentioned that a few times, and it is such a tricky subject because my opinion is not typical, because I've lived an experience that I originally thought was a twin flame, and it wasn't. So we will talk about my experience another time around that and how I've formulated my opinions around it. Now we're going to talk about the books, because that's what I actually wanted us to talk about today. So the first book I'm going to share with you guys, and this is the one I'm not going to get into big depth with because it's literally an encyclopedia. So this is an old book from the 90s. It's by Scott Cunningham. He was a very, very big witchcraft, Wicca, published author back in the 90s. I think maybe even in the 80s. This book came out, well, its 21st printing was in 2014, but its original copyright is 1985. So this book has been around since 1985, and it is a really, really, it's not a book. It's a book, but it's not a book to sit and read unless if you're studying herbs. It's literally a reference guide for any herb you can think of under the sun. So like lemons, lemon verbena, lemon grass. It's alphabetical, and it's extensive. It's extensive. So it mostly, I'm just trying not to lose my spot that I had for myself. It does talk at the beginning about the basics, about spell work, about hex breaking, about manifestations, lust, about intentions, what kind of spells, all-purpose spells. It's very brief, though. So it's from page 3 to page 20 that it talks about all those things. So it doesn't talk a lot. And then it gets into the herbs. It talks about, so for each herb, it shares. So let's talk about copal. Okay, copal. It talks about if it's what gender it is. It gives it scientific. So copal is considered masculine. It gives the scientific name. It talks about what planet it is associated with. So this one is associated with the sun. It talks about what element it's associated with, which is it's associated with fire. What kind of powers, what energetic powers it can play to, love and purification. And then it gets into magical uses. Now, every herb is different. Some herbs, there's a lot of magical uses. Some herbs, there isn't. This is mostly Wiccan based, but the properties of an herb is the property of an herb. So it doesn't really matter about like, where it comes from, because it's still the property of that herb, generally speaking. Obviously, because it is Wicca based or witchcraft based, Wicca and witchcraft are two different things, let me be clear, but it's more based in the Wiccan tradition, meaning some of the references to these herbs don't cover things like hoodoo or voodoo or the way they would be used in other ethnicities or other cultures of witchcraft. It's more Wiccan based. I hope that makes sense. I think I explained that well. Let me know if I confused you and if you need me to clarify that better. But basically, because of the tradition of where this author comes from, because everybody has their own backgrounds, he doesn't really talk about anything that is covered under that would be kind of hoodoo based. Okay. And so I have done research in hoodoo to some degree, not extensive. And I remember when I first got this book, I looked up an herb or something that I knew was used in hoodoo a lot, and it didn't have the properties that I knew that this herb had because of the hoodoo information that I had learned. So just be mindful with that. This is why I talk about getting multiple resources, because if you're only Wiccan based, that's cool. But if you're trying to see all perspectives and use herbs for all of their versatilities, then just this book is not going to do it for you. It's really a fabulous starting point, but it's not the only one. Okay. I hope that helps. And in the back, so it really literally just goes over herbs. And then in the back, it's more of a, there's like a glossary. So we have like, it lists them by gender. So it lists them by masculine, feminine. It lists them by planetary rulers. It lists them by elemental rulers. It lists them by magical intention. It lists them by, that's it. Oh, in colors and their magical uses. And then there's a bigger glossary. So it's good to have this, because you could be like trying to do, I don't know, a healing spell, and you want to look up certain properties for a certain kind of healing, and you're not really sure how to do that. And you can look it up in the back of this book, and it would list all the herbs that are recommended, and you can go deeper and look into those herbs that way. So it is a good starting point if you're trying to create something for yourself. Now, the next book, and I will probably try to do this one separately another day, because there's a lot to this book that I feel like is really good. This was one of my first witchcraft books I ever bought. I didn't know the author's name. I wasn't familiar with her name when I bought it. I just bought it because something about it called to me. It's by Juliet Diaz, and it's called Witchery, and it says Embrace the Witch Within. Now, I can tell you, I have personally done some of the spells that were in this book to test them out. One of them I did, there was some kind of protection sachet, I never say that word right. bag, like mojo bag, gree bag. I know they all mean different things for different cultures, but bag, herbal bag, because I can't say the word properly, that it prescribed to keep you safe from certain people. And I made one for my uncle who was having a really hard time at work with a certain boss. And I infused it with a few of my extra pieces of stuff, but I pretty much followed the spell verbatim. And only within a few weeks, the boss that was giving him a hard time left. Just gone. So that's pretty awesome. So I can tell you that, and I didn't even really know what I was doing as far as that, because it was a specific spell just for that situation. And usually I do spell work for myself. I don't typically do spell work for clients. I've done it for my aunt and uncle because they're family and it's a little different, but I've never taken somebody's money with a promised result in spell work. I don't know if I'll ever get to that place, but as of right now, I don't do that. But I found that spell in this book, and it really was fabulous. So this book, it's $16.99. I don't know if you can see that. It's $16.99 in the United States, and it's a good beginner book. It's a good, like, let's cover everything. Let's cover as much as we can in a short amount of time. So it talks about root work, what is magic, your attitude about magic, self-love, which we've talked about before on this channel. Check out some of those other videos, how self-love can affect your vibration and your energy. So I really like that she covers that. And then, so there's different parts. And then part two, that was part one. Part two is about unveiling the craft. So it's about beginning the practice. It's about meditation, grounding, raising energy, manifesting, working with seasons of the witch. So I really like that because she covers grounding and like pulling the energy up, and how she talks about that. And she could talk about that even more, but I like how she covers it, because some of these beginner witch books don't even talk about that. And it's like, that's a basic foundation of how to work with energy, how to get familiar with it. And then part three is called Practical Magic, and it's connecting with your inner witch. It's creating a book of shadows. It's working with your ancestors. It's learning how to make an altar and making your protection. Now, this is a little bit Wiccan based as well. Not entirely, not mostly, but it does have a little bit of a Wiccan background, because it does talk about casting a circle. And it talks a little bit about compass directions. And I don't do either of those. So, because that's not part of my practice, it's not how I do things. So it does talk about that. And she doesn't get into a full thing about like you do or you don't need to do it. Sometimes she'll say if you need to. Part four is the witch's garden. So it talks about a garden, and then it's all spells. It's all spells. attracting love, healing a broken heart, protection, success, wealth and abundance, luck, healing, purification, new beginnings, psychic enhancement, manifestation, and then creating your own spells. So she talks about all of that. And then part 5 talks about how to practice responsibly, like getting things that are sustainably sourced or that aren't going to hurt the environment, things like that. And then she gets into rituals. So she talks about rituals for anointing the book, which I definitely didn't do. That's a little extreme for me. Claiming your magical power, writing a healing letter, bath spells, foot soak spells, mirror spells, and the spells just continue to go on and on. So there's a lot of spells in here. Now, when I first got this book, and even now, sometimes there's ingredients in her spell work that I definitely don't keep on hand on a regular basis. So one thing that my aunt and uncle are actually getting me right now is colt's foot. I don't use colt's foot regularly. I'll type it down here so you know how to spell it. Colt's foot. I don't use it regularly, but it's called for in a healing working in here. And that was actually why I had both of these books out, because I was looking up colt's foot to see if it was something I actually needed or if there was something I could substitute. There's always a substitution. There's almost always a way you can substitute. However, there are things like, when it comes to spells, there are things like catalyst or activator herbs versus the inactive herbs and like the background ones. So if you have an herb like ginger or like cayenne pepper or cinnamon, which are big amplifiers of energy, if you have herbs like that that are called for in your spell work, that really shouldn't be substituted unless if it's for a similar catalyst. Because if you try to do cinnamon and you substitute it with something mellow, like, I don't know, we'll say basil, then it's not as much of an activist. It's not as active of a spell. It's inactive. It's not as fast moving. It's not as going the way that the energies work together. So it is important to at least make sure if you are substituting things, like you don't want to, like if you were baking a recipe, you wouldn't want to substitute salt for sugar if you didn't have sugar. You'd find something else that you could use, like maybe applesauce or something like that. So you want something that's comparable, not something that is totally left field. I do really like this book. I'm not affiliated with either of these. Okay. I'm not affiliated, but if you're looking to get like kind of a beginner, you can get this for free, not for free. You can get this for cheaper, used on Amazon. That's how I got it. Some of the things that I have marked off, I like to look up the seasonal celebrations every time that there is some kind of Sabbath or equinox or shifting, turning of the wheel. I like to look up what it recommends. Sometimes I do the things, it's very minimal. And they literally only have like half a page for each one. So like Samhain, which is Halloween or All Hallows Eve. They talk about the dating. They talk about what to celebrate, the energies that come through. And then they recommend an ideal spell to do at that time. And so she doesn't get into it too deep, though. She just talks about how Samhain is Gaelic for the summer's end, and it's a mark of the solar year, and we honor our ancestors. So she doesn't get super in depth. It is a very loose book. Like, she gets into enough detail, but it could be expanded. And she shares a crystal grid. I don't know if you guys can see that. But I actually just got one of these in the mail, an actual crystal grid. So this is a grid you can put crystals on. It's interesting that I got it in the mail. She talks about moon phases. What else does she share? Deep meditations. A bath for coming back to self-love. Oh, I'll share that with you guys because we've done that a lot. We've talked about self-love a lot. There's spells to encourage self-love. So this is a bath for coming back to self. It's a spell for those needing to balance, unwind, and clear negativity. It's like a hug for your energy. And what she recommends, see, these are a lot of ingredients. There's a lot here. Ready for the ingredients? Epsom salt, pink Himalayan salt, 1 sliced orange, a half a cup of each of these herbs, at least 3 of them. Dried lavender, rose petals, jasmine, basil, lemon balm, calendula, or hyssop. I actually have all of those, but some people don't. Like, I know I didn't have all of those at the beginning when I first started practicing. 1 sliced lemon, 3 drops of 1 or 2 essential oils. Choose from bergamot, rose, or lavender. Be careful when you're putting stuff directly into a bath or onto your skin when it comes to essential oils, because it can cause irritation or burning if you're not properly diluting it. A white, pink, or red candle, a small bowl for any of the following crystals: carnelian, rose quartz, or smoky quartz, a tablespoon of cinnamon, incense. Choose from cedar, dragon's blood, palo santo, lavender, or rose. And then what to do. Fill the bath so those are all ingredients that you're supposed to be doing for self-love. For this one bath, that's a lot of ingredients. Fill the bath at your preferred temperature. Meanwhile, bring a saucepan of water to boil and add the salts, orange slices, dried herbs or flowers, and simmer for 5 minutes. So basically, you're making a tea. Add the contents of the saucepan to the bath, along with the lemon slices and essential oils. In a safe place in the bathroom. Don't ever put essential oils in a pan, ever, unless if you plan on using that pan just for essential oils. Because if you do that, they are now possibly absorbed and don't necessarily wash out completely, and you don't want to eat essential oils. That is extremely dangerous. So if you ever, for some reason, are doing something with essential oils in a pan, make sure that pan never has food in it again, just to be safe. In a safe place in the bathroom, light the candle and position it next to the bowl of crystals. I would have gone even farther and like inscribed stuff in the candle. In a small piece of paper, write a short description of what you want from this bath, such as focus, release, balance, and so on. Place the note on the bowl of the crystals and sprinkle some cinnamon over it. Light the incense and move it around your body to allow the smoke to cleanse you. Leave the incense burning during your bath. You may play some soothing music as well if you like. As you bathe, keep in mind the desire on your note. Using a cup or your hands, pour the bath water around your neck and shoulders and over and around your head. The spell is then complete. Dispose of the note, but you may reuse the bowl of crystals and the candle when you next perform this spell. So that's just a little spell that is pretty straightforward. That one's straightforward. Some of them are a little bit more, and there's like, they want like saffron oil and like some pretty big ingredients that not everybody has in their home. So just be mindful with accessibility that you can do spells even if you don't have that specific ingredient. You can substitute it. You can, the goal of having an encyclopedia like this, and there's definitely more out there. This was the first one I ever bought, and I do intend to get more reference guides, because it never hurts to have a lot of reference guides. But the goal with this is, okay, there's no saffron oil. I don't have saffron oil, but it's called for in a spell. Well, let's look it up. What is similar? What can I find to compensate instead of saffron oil, etc. So that is what is a good thing of having a book like this for references as far as that is concerned. It's always also for me. This woman, Juliet Diaz, she's actually created a few oracle decks too that I'm interested in, but it was really easy to read. I liked that it was easy to read. It was a fast read. It's easy to reference. The reference, like when I look things up in here, there are references, by the way. I know I've said this about other books, that if there's 0 references, it's not the best thing. So she has all sorts of resources. She has resources listed in the back of the book. And then she also has information about her socials and how to stay connected to her. This person, Juliet Diaz, it says it on the book. She's a healer, a seer, an herbalist, and holds a master of science in herbal medicine. She's a descendant of a long line of witch healers from Cuba with indigenous roots, and was born with an extrasensory abilities, including communication with spirits and energy reading, which were evident from the age of 3. She owns and runs her own shop called November Sage Apothecary in her online witchcraft learning community. So there's that. I do recommend checking it out. Get it used if you can, or see if it's in the library. The thing with books that are witchcraft books, but they're a little off from how I practice, I still like to read them. I found this was really well written. And although I don't use it as a reference book every single day, it's still something that I feel like has really helped me. Actually, I think I did a pretty in-depth job here. I don't think I need to do another one of this. But her spells are pretty cool overall. Maybe I'll do like a flip through of it so you can get a better idea of how it is set up. I can do that later for you guys. Comment down below if you want me to do a flip through so you can actually like see it up close on camera and not me just like doing this. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. And I feel like that's all I really wanted to talk about today. We've been here for 25 minutes, so that's a pretty long time considering it was an impromptu last minute. Like, I'm just going to jump on and not film because things have been crazy, so busy. And Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday. So for those of you without mothers or with this being a challenging time for whatever reason, I am sending you guys so much love because Mother's Day, Father's Day, things like that can be very triggering for people who are having any kind of issues around that. So the issues are innumerable. Like they're infinite. I couldn't even begin to list every single problem that somebody may have around Mother's Day, but I'm keeping that in my thoughts and in my blessings for you guys because it is not an easy time for some people and everybody needs to be mindful of that. I think that's it for today. Watch out for those readers who are trying to sell you products that are I don't know how to call it. They're not really scam artists because some of them are totally. Some of them are completely fake. But some are actual genuine readers but they go from a fear-based tactic. Fear-based tactic. And I'm all about sharing everything light and dark, but I can't stand when readers go after people that are vulnerable already and they are trying to manipulate the person to buy more from them. We're here to sell a service to help people heal. We're not here to take advantage of what they're going through and try to get them to buy products from us. Oh, I have a bag for that. I have a bracelet that I made for that. I have a candle that I made for that. You'll notice I never promote my products on here. I almost never do because that is not why I created this channel. I created this channel to help people. I will occasionally mention my Etsy shop. I do have an Etsy shop. I don't have a ton of stuff on there. It is a goal someday to create more. And I do have a website. It's melsdivination.com. And it's all linked down below in the description box. But I'm not here to sell anything to you guys. I'm here to help you become more knowledgeable. And if you'd like to support the channel or if you'd like to get a reading, feel free to check out my site, check out my Etsy shop, check out my Amazon wish list. I would love all that, but I'm not here just to promote that. And I hope you guys know that by now. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I do plan on trying to get a regular Flip Through Friday out for Friday, but that is just one day away, so I need to get to filming. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.